Hope all is well with everybody. Welcome in, welcome in. Today, we're going to be talking more about feminine hormones, women's hormones, and understanding our feminine essence and breaking that down and really just unpacking how our body has been overwhelmed. And so, since our body has been overwhelmed and not been supported by the foods that we're eating with the products that we use, we feel like that our body is turning against us. We feel like we're broken. We think that there's something wrong, that our body just naturally has to go through these painful cycles, that's uncomfortable feeling. And so when we sit here and we deal with in society the poisons that we are, accustomed to every single day because we don't realize how to read our labels and we're not taught these things or we're not shown how to sync with our cycle and be in a rhythm with our body, but instead just work against it. It causes things like fatigue. It causes the mood swings. It causes bloating. It causes painful cycles. It causes those stubborn weight gain that you can't get rid of and the weight fluctuations. And these things aren't normal, but we have made them the norm because there's so many women dealing with this issue. And the reason why there are so many women dealing with these same issues of fatigue and dealing with the bloating and the mood swings and painful menstrual cycles or the stubborn weight gain is because we believe the lie of the fact that it's just a part of being a woman. It's just a part of us being here. This is what we have to go through because all women go through this, right? But when you really sit here and you look at not only the patterns of habits that we have and also the things that we use and connect the dots between the products that we use, the foods that we consume, and then the lack of nutrients in our food, we realize the fact that when you are sitting here over the years dealing with these symptoms like I once was, they're not normal. There are signs from your body letting you know and telling you, hey, your hormones have been fluctuating. And since your body has been dealing with this fight or flight mode for years and the hormones are going up and down and they're imbalanced, now you're sitting here dealing with PCOS. Now you're having the issues of endometriosis. Now you're dealing with the issues of you have painful menstrual cycles every single month and you feel like they're taking you out. I can speak from experience for me now being plant-based for over 4.5 years, how when I was dealing with these same symptoms, I wasn't able to pinpoint where they were coming from, nor was I able to really sit back and be like, okay, so when I am dealing with, let's say, estrogen dominance, or I'm dealing with an overload of just, I have lack of iron and an overload of toxins, because you can see the signs when you're dealing with that weight fluctuation of your body holding on to toxins. Because when you're having that weight gain and that weight fluctuation, do you realize that toxins store inside of your fat cells? And so when you sit here over a long period of time, not dealing with the issue, but instead you keep consistently and constantly consuming, and you don't realize that this period of this cycle of you doing the same thing, expecting a different result is endless. You've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years of your life. And then you've been doing this and you think, okay, a momentary band-aid of a diet for a month or a week or 2 weeks or however long is going to fix the problem that I have. When reality, it's not going to fix the problem that you have because you haven't gotten to the root cause of the issue. And so you're still sitting there dealing with managing symptoms. And I was in that space of managing the symptoms that I had going on. I was dealing with overloaded inflammation, which was causing a bunch of knee pain in my body at a very, very young age. I was in 5th grade wearing a knee brace on each knee. I was sitting there when I was dealing with, I had developed asthma, basically, not dealing with, but I had developed asthma in high school while I was playing my sports. After a time of me realizing and really connecting the dots of our health, the reason why I had developed asthma because my inflammation had gotten so bad that it started to attack my way of breathing. And so over that time of me figuring out during 2020 of what was going on with my body, understanding how your body is not balanced when you're not eating a rainbow plate, and really diving into how meat and how dairy and how processed foods impact the body. Thank you for this gifts. Hi, Elle. How are you doing? And so as I started to break them down, I realized that I wasn't ever balanced. I wasn't ever supporting my body the way that it was looking for and the way that it was needing. And so over the years of me constantly doing the same thing, because I was around the age of, I think, 2021, something around there, when I really started to change my lifestyle and really started to incorporate new things, I realized that I've been doing for 20 years, 19 years of my life, the same thing everybody else was doing. So that's the reason why I'm sitting here experiencing high blood pressure symptoms. I'm sitting here dealing with the issue of, okay, I'm leading myself down pre-diabetes because I already have insulin resistance from all the signs that I'm showing my body the lack of nutrients and the lack of care that it was asking for. And so then in return, all my body was giving toxins back. All it was giving was painful cycles. All it was giving was warning signs. When your body is in fight or flight mode for years and it feels like you're attacking it with the foods that you eat and the products that you use, it's going to start having those symptoms of breaking down on the inside. And how you know what the signs of breaking down on the inside is looking and diving into the organs and how they're being impacted. So when you look at the fact that your liver is the detoxing organ inside of your body, this is what's supposed to detox you, right? We have to break down the roles of each organ when it comes to our hormonal chaos for you to understand how you're not supporting these systems. So your liver is supposed to be the process that gets rid of the toxins inside of your body. But when you're overloaded with processed foods, you're overloaded when you're overloaded with medications, or you consume alcohol, or you're dealing with the fact that you use toxic products like makeup, perfume, etc. And you're sitting here also consuming toxic, terrible meats, and you're sitting here consuming dairy all the time. This overloads your liver. Because when you're sitting there having these toxins and you're not flushing on the regular, you don't understand how they're impacting your body when it comes to inflammation, which is causing your liver to work harder. You're going to keep doing the same thing for years on end and then wonder why you develop a disease later on. Wonder why your body has been in panic mode and your cortisol has hit that spike and then it hits that low peak, and you're trying to figure out why all of a sudden you have the issue of your cortisol being balanced. Because a lot of people don't realize this, and I was doing studies into this for our masterclass that is happening tonight, of talking about cortisol and how cortisol affects the body. Because a lot of people talk about cortisol, and I was one of those people too, from the basis of where I was taught. Cortisol is talked about in our society a lot in the space of, if your cortisol is high, you want to lower it. But a lot of people don't realize that when your cortisol is high and it's been high for years, at some point it's going to hit a rock bottom low point. And it's not because your cortisol has now all of a sudden just went and dropped down because you've been spiked for so many years, so now it's going back down low where you need it. But rather, when you look at the cortisol spike, it's the same thing with your insulin. It's a crash. And so when your cortisol is high, that is a hormone that also regulates all your other hormones. So when it's high, you're in a high stressed out state. And so what does your body have to do to compensate that high stressed out state? Lower your cortisol. But when it's constantly trying to lower your cortisol because it's always high, you do realize at some point it's going to hit a plateau and hit the bottom. And a lot of people don't realize that they have hit that plateau and it's hit the bottom, and it's been years of them being at that bottom. And so during this class that I'm going to talk about tonight, I'm going to specifically dive into how do we hit that balance of no longer spiking it, but also not hitting that bottom. And if you are at that bottom, how do I get back to balance without raising it to make it too high? And so when your liver is in a space of panic and it can't detox correctly, thank you for the follow, it is going to have issues with spiking your cortisol inside of your gut. We're going to break down the gut in a minute, but I want to touch on our kidneys and our pancreas, and then we'll move on to the gut. So obviously when your liver is overloaded, then it's going to have a bunch of toxins, and those toxins start to leak. Those toxins start to reach outside of your liver. And so then the liver goes, okay, I'm going to pass it to the fat cells because I don't know what else to do with it. Oops, a little bit of leaked into your bloodstream. Oops, now it's not being filtered by me anymore. You have fatty liver disease, right? Then when you look at the kidneys, now you're sitting there dealing with an overload of fluid, because that regulates your fluid. It regulates your blood, right? So now you're sitting here dealing with the issue of you have a bunch of waste, you have water retention, and then you're sitting here dealing with the fact that you consume coffee or sodas, or you just consume an excess overload of sugars, and this causes an excess overload of hormones. And so over time of you not taking care of your kidneys, and then also your liver is dealing with the issue of it can't detox on a regular, now your blood is going to be tainted. Now your blood is going to have issues with balancing itself. This is how you develop insulin resistance. On top of the fact that when we talk about the pancreas and what it does, you also start to develop insulin resistance in this space, and then you lead yourself to having diabetes or high blood pressure or heart disease, fatty liver disease, because we talked about when you have fatty liver because you have an overload of toxins and it's starting to leak other places, this is going to cause your kidneys to fail. So kidney disease. So then all of these things are happening inside of your body. And like I said, this is disrupting your hormones. Then you have to look at the pancreas. Thank you for the follow. And the pancreas is where your insulin is balanced. It's supposed to produce natural insulin that turns and converts into energy. But when you are dealing with your blood sugar completely out of control, you're going to have constant spikes because you're sitting here snacking and you're consuming a whole bunch of processed sugar because you're craving sugar to replace the sugar that's being expelled because it's not natural and it's not supporting you. And so then you're dealing with this stress, which is equaling your hormone imbalances. So now you're having this fluctuation of blood sugar spike. Oh, 1 minute you're in the insulin resistance. Your body is dealing with that by compensating with more insulin. Now it's expelling all the toxic insulin, producing more natural insulin. And so then your body can't compensate and you have no energy. Now you're so fatigued. Now you're sitting here trying to figure out, oh my goodness, why do I have no energy and why am I suffering and why am I struggling? Because you didn't give yourself any balancers with your food. You didn't support the body in building itself up so that it can produce natural insulin without using all of your energy. And so now you're sitting here having to drink coffee midday. Now you need a nap all of a sudden after you eat. You feel the itis. Now you just need a nap every single day to make it by because you're not being supported. And so when you're sitting here dealing with all of this stress and it's causing hormonal imbalances from the other organs, this isn't even diving into the fact that your gut is not being supported. And your gut is about over 70% of your immune system is in your gut. And so when you think about the fact that your immune system, your immune cells do respond to your hormones and they go work hand in hand, why do you think you're having all these issues with your moods? Why do you think you're dealing with PMS? Why do you think you're sitting here dealing with anxiety and being anxious and panic attacks or going in and out of depression episodes? Because your gut balance is not where it needs to be. Your organs are working overtime in other aspects. And so then your hormones are literally sitting here going like this in a whirlwind of chaos. It's wreaking havoc to the point where now your gut is stressed out and your gut and your brain are directly connected. And science is literally nicknamed your second brain. And so when you're dealing with the stress that you're putting on inside of your gut as well as your other organs, and then you're also dealing with the fact that your digestive tract is backed up because you consume 3 times a day, 3 meals a day. And then you're sitting here dealing with a malnutritional meal, no nutrients in the food, but you eat all day. So then you're backed up. You have no fiber. You have no healthy fats. You have no healthy proteins that actually come from fruits and vegetables. You're not flushing. Maybe you don't even eat greens at all. And so only thing that's thriving in the space that you have given is inflammation, is toxins, is parasites. And so they're loving the environment that they're in. And instead of you giving it a space where it can't thrive in and you're getting flushing and resetting the system on a regular basis, you do this for years. You set yourself up for a toxic environment internally for years. And you don't realize it because nobody makes the connections and nobody helps you be able to understand what's going on. Instead, we're told, oh, you're just PMSing. Oh, you just didn't get enough of this month. You just need to eat more meats because you need iron. Oh, you're lacking this, so take a magnesium supplement and an iron supplement and you should be fine. But we're not taught the fact that you shouldn't be PMSing. You shouldn't be dealing with the painful menstrual cycle. You shouldn't even be bleeding past 4 days. When you are on your cycle past 4 days, do you know that you're hemorrhaging? And we're not learning these things. You shouldn't be having blood clots. There's just so many different things that have been made normal. And we're told that these things are normal. I had a young lady come in here that was talking to me about her issue and was saying that she had been bleeding for a year. She said that she had been bleeding for a year and her doctor told her that was normal. I was like, what do you mean normal? I'm like, I need you to really clarify. Your doctor told you bleeding for an entire year is normal. Yes, her doctor said it's been a year from since then. And her doctor was like, yeah, you're fine. So when I say that they don't teach us how to set ourselves up, but instead to poison ourselves and to keep ourselves in an inflammation state, that's what I mean. That's the reason why infertility rates are where they are and why so many women are struggling with infertility and just overall issues with developing fibroids by the time that they're 50 or developing endometriosis or just having issues with fibroids or cysts or the symptoms that come along with them. And they don't know what the symptoms look like. So then you're dealing with these for years. And then you wonder why by the age of 50, you develop fibroids or you've been finally diagnosed. Because endometriosis, when you have estrogen dominance or when you have fibroids in general, it takes about 7 to 10 years for you to actually be diagnosed with these things. You can go back and forth with the doctor telling them what's going on, what's happening, breaking it down to them. They give you a supplement, they give you a prescription, but in reality, it takes about 7 to 10 years for them to finally realize that you have a fibroid or you have a cyst. So instead of you sitting here thinking that your solution is to go talk to a doctor and get a prescription or do a diet and then do it this way for a minute and you should be perfectly fine and fixed, why not start figuring out exactly how to start healing the problems that you're having based on the symptoms that you're having, not based on a diagnosis, not based on a medication that you can take or trying to manage it with birth control, which won't work. Start using natural medicine, natural healing methods, starting with foods that you use, getting rid of toxic products, and understanding how that your body is categorized in compartments when you think about it. And each compartment of your body right now is understaffed and overworked. You sit here and you're overloading your systems, and now they're understaffed and overworked. And then on top of that, since they're working overtime, things are starting to fail. They're not broken, but things are starting to fail. You're missing your key point here. You're missing this milestone here. And so instead of you getting onto a system that is unreliable, start to support yourself with a system that's actually reliable and sustainable. Because it's possible. You can do it. It's just a matter of if you want to. And so tonight I'm showing you with the blueprint of how you get rid of that overload and reset your body in a natural space. Because you need to be balanced as a woman. And I'm giving you a balanced woman blueprint. That's what the masterclass is called tonight. Based on society and where we're going, if you have not already felt it, I mean, you are blessed that you have not felt the shift, but at the same time, you're living in a life of ignorance. If you haven't felt the shift that our society has gone through already with anything that's going on in our economy, when it's going on with life in general, you feel the tension in the air. If they haven't been supporting us in the previous years of us just being in a normal, natural state of what Earth is like, what do you think it's going to look like when things get hard? When things are getting harder? What do you think it's going to look like when you no longer have any extra time to give to yourself because you're working and you're dealing with family, you're dealing with other things, and everybody else is already stressed out? Don't wait to the point where it gets to the breaking point, where it's the breakdown. Don't wait till the point of now you have nothing that you can do about the issue besides have a surgery or depend on the medication. Start to make change now because things are only getting worse in our society. So can you only imagine? Because if you're not aware of it, you should be, but you are very behind and you need to get on it, of the 2030 agenda. If you are full aware of it, I can't go deeper into it, but we will be talking about that tonight. So that's one thing that we'll be talking about tonight in the masterclass, because that's something that I can't say on here. But when you are fully aware of that agenda and you understand what's going on with that, you know it's not getting any better. And not only is it not getting any better, but it's getting a whole lot worse with women. Look at what is going on with people talking about our rights right now. Like when you really, which it comes up every few years about our rights when it comes to birth control, Planned Parenthood and all that stuff. It comes up every few years. We know this. But when you start to look at the things that are really hitting, you understand, because I was doing research. And if you're on my Wellness Wednesday, then you already know this. I send out an email every single Wednesday talking about our Wellness Wednesdays. I sent out an email talking about the fact that they are no longer supporting research when it comes to, I think it was fibroids or PCOS or just like the mixture of both, either which way, reproductive health. It wasn't being supported like it was. It started to amp up with the support of them doing research. But now they're starting to cut funding again. And not only are they cutting funding, but it's making to the point where the doctors that were doing the research, the teams that were on the research studies are being let go. And so they're like, okay, so if we were in a point of making a breakthrough of us finally focusing in on women's health and finally getting to the root cause of these things, and all of a sudden we're not only defunded, but we're being let go, where do we see ourselves by 2030 when it comes to women's health if they're already letting go of the research that is supposed to be helping us for the time of 2030 because they're projecting to make $1 trillion profit off of people being diabetic and obese alone? And I'm talking about, and I have been talking about quite a while, how Diabetes, and I'm not going to go deep into this because I don't want them to take my life down. They have literally taken my life a couple times for me talking about this. This is the reason why it's in a masterclass now. Diabetes and our hormones as a woman, when it comes to us being estrogen dominant or us having progesterone dominance or just an imbalance in our hormones it goes hand in hand with our insulin resistance. And what is running rampant in our society right now? Diabetes. So it's like you really have to sit there and think about, why do they not make it a national crisis that diabetes is running so rampantly in our society? Because they know that's a profit margin and nobody's going to get rid of their sugar or give up their sugar just because they tell them to, because you're addicted to sugar. Your addiction takes you into different avenues of cravings. And they know this. This is the reason why they do peer studies on foods. This is the reason why they have taste testings. Like, it's not all separated. And so in order for you to really break down what is happening, you have to reclaim your essence. You have to reclaim your health. But first you need to know what's going on inside of your body and get to the root cause and make the connections. And so in order for you to do that, you have to figure out first, what is your feminine essence? When you break it down, do you realize your feminine essence is designed naturally to flow? It's supposed to flow from a space of light. It's supposed to have rhythm in sync. It's supposed to be a place of radiance and creativity, not suffering and struggling, not having any clear thoughts, be sitting here delulu even though you're suffering. Like, we are trained, and especially on TikTok, because I know this is like the younger generation of following all these trends. We're literally trained to not follow our body's natural rhythm. We're trained to not understand how stress and poor sleep and toxic foods and medications disconnect us from our actual being in our body. How it disconnects us from syncing with our cycle. We're not taught these things. And so this is why I say that, like, even though I did say younger generations, all generations of women that are here alive right now have not been taught to sync with their cycle. And how I know is because they're not teaching it in the school systems. So where are you learning it from? If your mom didn't learn it, if your grandma didn't learn it, if past generations before your grandma didn't learn it, where are you learning it from? How I started to learn these things was me actually diving into going back to the natural rhythm of the body, understanding what they used to do for women during the time of their cycles before we started doing all of these medications and prescriptions and surgeries and depending on them. I started to understand that hormonal imbalances and really all diseases inside the body and illnesses is a block that has not been dealt with. When you're sitting here having the issue of you're backed up and you're blocked, and you're dealing with the issue of the fact that it's not going the way that you want to when you're doing diets, or you're sitting here having to go back and forth between a diet because it's just not working for you and it's not sustaining. It's not because there's something wrong with you and your body necessarily, but rather the habits that you have blocked your healing, because your body naturally does its own design of healing. So when you are blocked, your system is going to be out of balance. And so you're sitting here going back and forth with your body and never giving your body exactly what it needs, never supporting the system of your body. A lot of us are not really taking into account Romans 12:2. We take it in a space of understanding that we're not supposed to conform to the world and we're not supposed to do what everybody else is doing. But we don't even realize that you're conformed to the world just by your eating habits. Like, you're supposed to daily renew your mind and not conform to the world, but we're so heavily pressed on a pyramid of some sort. I'm not going to say exactly what it was because last time I mentioned it, like I said, they take my life down. The plates that they promote to us, right? And I break that down and talk about that more as well. But we depend on these things. And we don't realize that if it can be edited and changed over the years because it just wasn't working anymore, why do you think that it supports you if it's not a definitive answer, if all of our bodies work the same? Not all of our bodies have the same issues. So if you're dealing with PCOS, if you're dealing with fibroids, or you're dealing with certain issues of hormone imbalance, or you're dealing with diabetes, or etc., you're not dealing with the exact same symptoms, but our body heals the same way. Getting to the root cause, removing the block, start using food as your medicine. Stop using toxic products. So if this is a way for us to heal, why are they not teaching us how to do this? But instead they're putting on a plate in a pyramid what we need to do. So tonight's class is going to be really eye-opening and renewing your mind and understanding your health and breaking that down more so that your body can follow the space of healing and really break that down and get to the point of not just managing, but healing. And so it's giving you the foundation that you need. Because true healing looks like the fact that you stop managing and thinking that a temporary band-aid is your solution, is your answer, and diet culture is the way that you need to be healthy, right? Or you have to eat a salad to be healthy. But rather understanding the like birth control, your Ozempic, metformin, surgeries, these are ways to keep you toxic. I've said this before, and I have had many people who have had surgeries around me or talking to people who have surgeries, because I'm one of those where I usually end up talking about health conversations with people. It's just something that comes up because of the lifestyle I live. I've been plant-based for over 4 years. And so talking to them, and they say the same thing of, well, I had a surgery and then I had to get another surgery. And it seems like a pattern. Once they cut you open once for a surgery, you're going to have multiple surgeries. So when you're sitting here dealing with these issues that you're having inside of your body with momentary band-aids, with these temporary solutions that you think are going to work, yes, you're going to keep having to have surgeries. Yes, you're going to have to keep having these issues. Fibroids are going to grow back. Cysts are going to keep happening because you're not dealing with the root cause. But instead, you thought that surgery was the one and done. Everything's going to fix itself and rebalance. And that's not how it works. You didn't have to have the surgery in the beginning, and it's because it all piled up and kept getting worse. So that's the same thing that's going to happen. It's going to keep piling up. The blocks never went away because you never helped them heal and release and reset. And so then they're just going to keep piling up to give you the same issue that you had before or move on to another location. This is what I mean by like our bodies heal the same way. We might have different symptoms, but our bodies all heal the same way. So when you're sitting here dealing with issues of cysts returning and fibroids lingering, and you're sitting here like, why? Why is this happening? What's going on? It's because the root cause was never addressed. It's because you never sat down and said, you know what? Dairy is inflammatory, so is meat, and they're feeding these issues that I'm having going on. I eat a whole lot of processed snacks. Do I even know how to read my labels? No, I don't. What is this mean on here when it says titanium dioxide? These little simple things are your issue. In supplements, when you're sitting here taking supplements or even tinctures, because these are natural methods that people are relying on now, but they're not realizing that they're relying on these and they have no strategy to heal. They're just saying, oh, I'm going to take an iron supplement. Oh, I'm going to take this tincture because they said it's really, really good for you to detox. And oh, this gets rid of your parasites, right? But you're not realizing that you're not doing anything strategically, but rather you're just still using momentary band-aids so that you can keep eating the way that you've been eating all of your life. So you can keep doing what is norm. And this norm is making you sick. So instead of doing the norm, find a proven system, because these aren't proven systems from what you're basing your information on. You're doing one aspect of healing and hoping that it's going to heal all. That's not how this works. It's not possible. It's not possible to do one thing and it heal all things that you have going on because you never got to the root cause. I'm going to keep saying that. So when you actually want to learn a foundational place of how to eat natural foods, plant-based foods from a rainbow plate, and understand how you support the body in the long haul, and actually stop guessing, but actually get to a space of strategy and guidance, you will start syncing with your cycle. You'll start eating for your hormones, and you'll start to actually understand how plant-based is not something that you're going to sit here and suffer through and hate and be hungry, but rather it's something that's actually fun to not only try out new recipes and fulfill your actual body with what it needs, but learning that you have been trained into a space that puts you in a toxic environment that makes you believe that this is the only way that you can cook this. This is the only way that you can eat this. This is the only way that you can have chicken, steak, etc. But when you start to actually taste plant-based meals, you're like, wow, this isn't chicken, but it tastes just like chicken. Wow, this isn't a steak, but it's giving steak. Like, oh, I made a cheesecake. Me and my best friend made a cheesecake this weekend. Like, I really want a cheesecake. It's not cheesecake. It's not going to make me inflammatory. But guess what? It literally tastes like cheesecake. And you know why? Because you have to give it a chance. You can't sit here and say, well, I just don't know if I could be able to eat a plant-based meal. What is it made from? And you're sitting here like, okay, how do you get your iron? How do you get your protein? How do you get your this and that? But you're not asking that when somebody slaps a plate of meat in front of you and no vegetables, no fruits. Like, You get French fries and a steak and you're happy, but you didn't ask them, okay, so how am I supposed to get this? Where do I get this from? Because that steak does not give you everything that you're needing. Those fries are heavily processed. So that's why I'm just like, I don't argue with people who want to come to me and ask a whole bunch of questions from a space of like judgment and don't know what they need to do and how to do it. But rather, I understand the fact that if you want to actually learn how to change and to heal, you're going to accept the fact that what you've been doing has not been supporting you. And that's the reason why you're looking for help. When you are in the space that you want an actual change and to sync with your cycle and to eat with your cycle, so that you're not in a space of dealing with managing, but rather using food to do what it should be doing, which is helping your body get rid of those blocks and to heal itself naturally, you will accept that society has programmed you into a space of being inflammatory and being sick. And it's the norm to not listen to your body or understand the signs and the symptoms. You'll understand the different phases of your cycle and what your body needs during those phases as a woman, so that your feminine essence is actually being supported, rather than you working against it and thinking that something is wrong with your body and then you take a prescription for it. Understanding that during certain times of your cycle, you're going to be more insulin resistant. So this means you need more stabilizers during those times, so that you don't become insulin resistant outside of the time that your insulin is more high sensitivity than normal. So when you're sitting here dealing with the issues of not living in sync with your cycle, but instead fighting against it, this is going to teach you how to stay in fight or flight mode and ignore your body. This is the space that a lot of you are in currently right now. But tonight, we're going to be breaking down how to release that fight or flight mode, so that you have the foundation of actually syncing with your cycle and healing, but using food as medicine and understanding how food is the medicine that you are searching for and you're needing to start healing. Because you can't supplement anything in if you're not eating correctly. And so tonight, what we're going to get into in this masterclass is understanding the science behind your hormonal imbalances, understanding the impact of your blood sugar, your liver, understanding your gut dysfunction, okay? Actually getting to the space and the mindset of healing and understanding how this healing works. Thank you for liking up the live. I appreciate it. Getting a full roadmap into your foundation of living a plant-based lifestyle based on supporting your hormones. Understanding how your body has been in a toxic state and what foods have been impacting your body being in an inflammatory toxic state. And then understanding how you detox and you flush and reset from a rainbow plate. And then from this space, then we'll approach our new womanhood flow of our feminine essence and finally getting into the space that our body's been looking for and breaking that down. And if you buy just the masterclass ticket, that is $97. If you buy the second tier up, because there's 3 tiers, the second tier, you get a bonus, you get the replay and the masterclass ticket to be involved. And then the third tier, you get the masterclass, you get the replay, the ticket to the masterclass, the replay. You also get your bonus, and then you do get a one-on-one session with me. So then afterwards, we can talk about ways to implement it in your direct life and have more one-on-one questions, because there is a one-on-one session at the end of the masterclass, but that is in a group setting. With the third tier ticket, you do get one-on-one sessions with me, so we can really start to hone in on, okay, this is what you need for a grocery list. This is what you need to get rid of your pantry and to replace it with this, and etc. And things like that you would need. Maybe you're dealing with diabetes, maybe you're dealing with insulin resistance, or you're just dealing with heart disease or high blood pressure and etc. And you want to talk about that and start to tackle that. That will support you completely through that. So if you are looking for that ticket and you want to go grab yours before the tickets run out or before the time ends, because I am closing the doors at 12 because our class starts at 6. So I want to be able to get everybody their informational email out in plenty of time. I want you to know that that link is in my bio. So before I take any questions, or before I get off, I will take any questions that you guys have, because this masterclass is for clarity. It's going to give balance. It's going to give flow. And it's really going to help you be able to tackle the issues that you're having and you've been suffering from, that you've been trying to figure out, why is this not working for me, even though it works for other people, or they live this lifestyle and I feel like I eat better or I work out and it's still not working for me. The reason why is because you haven't balanced to sync with your cycle and balanced with eating a rainbow plate. Because I know that everybody else's bodies can heal the same, but not everybody's bodies function the same day to day based on the foods that we have been eating for years. And so when you want to get to the space of your body actually naturally resetting itself and you being able to see the signs, recognize the signs, and feel those signs of the issues that your body is having without you having to go back and forth to the doctor and trying to play this guessing game of maybe this prescription works, maybe this surgery will work. You will be in that class because the truth is nothing is going to change until you actually go and actively seek that change. Nothing is going to change for you based on the lifestyle that you're living currently right now and keeping doing the same thing. You have gotten to a space where you're fatigued, you're tired all the time, you wake up tired, you go to sleep tired, and you're not piecing together the issues. You're not getting to the root cause of the problems. And so then you're wondering what's wrong, and then you try to find a quick, fast solution because you have to go to work, you have to deal with your kids, you have to live life. And you need to live your life, and you should be enjoying your life. But a lot of you are not enjoying your life. You're just making it day by day. So instead of you making it day by day and you not realizing what you need to do for yourself, why not actually get to the space of healing? And so that's what we're going to start learning and really breaking down in the Balanced Woman Blueprint that is happening tonight. So what questions do you have for me before I hop off? Any questions about the masterclass? Any questions that you have for me about hormonal imbalances or anything that I said? Maybe you need a little recap. We can do a little recap. What questions do you have? And if you're watching this later on YouTube, by the time that it gets posted, the masterclass will be over. The replay is able to be purchased. I always let my replays to be able to be purchased. You just have to leave a comment down below and I'll send you a link to it because I don't think I'll have it on my link tree. Honestly, it's something that I'll probably put into a bundle later on that's going to help with my program. So what questions do you guys have for me? I don't know, it says choppy. Oh, it was just saying I can restart. Thank you for liking up the live, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. What questions do you guys have before I hop off? I have something to do in 20 minutes or so, but I'll give y'all a couple of minutes to answer some questions. But if you guys have no questions for me and you are ready, if you've already grabbed your ticket, I can't wait to see you tonight if you've already grabbed your ticket. I appreciate you, obviously. I have plenty of things in store for you. You will be getting your email. We're starting at 6:30 tonight, so you'll probably be getting your email at the latest of 4:30-ish. That'll be the latest that you'll get your email, but I'm trying to have it out by 2 something with all your informational stuff. As well as I think I'm going to have that bonus attached for the ones who have already purchased their replay. If you have purchased just the ticket and you're deciding that you want to get the replay, you will be able to get that balance. You will be able to get the remaining balance sum sent to you after the class. I'll let you have it for 24 hours. I'll let you be able to get the replay and everything afterwards, because I know some people, they're in the class and they're like, I should have got the replay, and it happens. I've been there, done that. So it's something that you can get into, and you could also get the bonus from there. I'm not seeing any questions, so I guess I'm going to hop off and get ready to do my thing that I have to do very soon. If you have any questions, or if you want to get into the class and you're just not understanding which one it is, or etc., if you have any questions, my DMs are always open. DM me, please. If you're watching this later on YouTube, do not forget to subscribe, and obviously my DMs are always open. You can DM me. Drop any comments drop any questions that you have in my DMs, because I guess I answered all y'all's questions. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'm out, y'all. Bye.